Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a brand new era of World Challenge competition, not just in America, but globally. This is the opening weekend of the new global Blancpain GT World Challenge, the opening weekend of the Blancpain GT World Challenge America, which also has in the GT4 category the Pirelli GT4 American Championship. Lots of great developments this year in terms of the web stream and the TV broadcasts and the like. One of the ones we're most excited about is the fact that for the first time ever, we will be bringing you the coverage of GT4 and GT qualifying live on the web. Great to be joined alongside by Calvin Fish. I'm Greg Creamer. Ryan Marine will be covering the action down in pit lane. And as you can see, the start to this season globally and certainly for this championship, a little bit damp and chilly.
It is. It's a little bit of a surprise looking at the forecast last night. We didn't anticipate this amount of precipitation here this morning, but certainly it's thrown the teams a bit of a curveball. This session has been declared officially a wet session, which means obviously everyone would choose wet tires right now, but if it should dry out, we may see some guys dive into the pit lane and switch to some slick Pirelli P0s for the end of the session. So everyone treading carefully right now. You want to get a lap down. There's a big field here, 33 cars, 8 different manufacturers represented, so it's a long racetrack, just shy of 3.5 miles, but even so, make sure you get a clean lap, particularly towards the end of the session if there should be a drying line.
And it's broken into 2 segments, so you'll have a session and a 5-minute break where they'll change drivers up. And basically, with it being a Sprint X format, there is a driver change during the course of the race. So you're qualifying. This is a change from last year. Instead of fast lap in that first race, determining the starting order of the second race, you have a second chunk of qualifying in the one big window, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's 15 minutes for this first group, and everyone's got a driver ranking between bronze all the way up to platinum. And essentially your lower graded driver should be participating in this first half of the session, and that means they'll actually start race 1, and then for the second part of this qualifying session there'll be a 5-minute break. Then we'll see the other group. Co-drivers will basically get in the cars that are on the racetrack right now, do have the opportunity to change to a different set of tires. They'll lay down a lap which will be their qualifying position for race 2 tomorrow.
And a big field showing up here for the Pirelli GT4 American Championship, over 30 cars. And you've got the Pro-Am category and the Am category, as we did have in the past. There are 2 regional championships that are also folded in. If you just can't muster the time or resource to be able to run the full national Sprint X championship, you can run an East or a West regional. It runs in conjunction with the national championship, and that's brought some great entries in here this weekend. As I said, really solid fields. And there were a couple of sessions that were run with a little bit of mist maybe on the track, but nothing with this level of dampness. So it's going to be interesting to see. And some of the cars were consistently up near the front of the order were the Flying Lizard Motorsport entry of Michael Dinan and Robbie Foley, NOLA Sport in their entry, Matt Travis and Jason Hart, GMG Racing, Jason Bell with Alec Udell. We'll talk about that, but getting out to the front early is the number 34, the Murillo Racing Fuji Mercedes, now in the hands of Matt Fosnot.
Yeah, and he had some brilliant performances last year, ran in the TCR class as well, so he was a busy boy last year, but he's very much at home in this Mercedes AMG GT4 machine. And looks to be having a car that's got great balance. Haven't seen him slipping and sliding too much, so maybe he's not pushing to 100% just yet, feeling out this racetrack, finding where the grip is. And that set of S's just keeps coming at you. It's relentless, but a great part of the racetrack.
And obviously their times will be well off what they ran in the drier sessions. They were in the 217, low 217s in those sessions for best times. Not going to be near that, and we'll see how it plays out. But as I said, there were a group of cars that were consistently right up in the sharp end of things. We'll see if they can muster that kind of performance again in the damp.
Yeah, and looking at the touring car qualifying that happened just shy of this one, about 12-second delta between the fastest times yesterday and what the guys were seeing for lap times in that qualifying session in these wet conditions. So there'll be a crossover point. Probably once you get under about 10 seconds delta to a dry lap time, maybe someone will take a chance and switch over to a slick tire. But it's cool out as well, so it's hard to generate that tire temp, particularly if just a drying line.
Yeah, it's just about 50 degrees right now, so it is chilly. Interestingly, you were telling me that there were reports that drivers said if you get on those red and white curbs, there's actually a fair amount of grip. If you get onto the green or white or red paint on the other side of it, it's an ice race.
Yeah, I talked to Jeff Siegel about that very situation. He said it was a little bit damp out there, but I had good grip. He was on a hot lap and suddenly came through turn 19, I think it was, a couple of corners further down the road to what Matt Fassnacht is now going through this long triple apex corner, this next one. So Jeff Siegel was coming down into this corner, and as you see here, we'll let this corner unfold. As he came through here, went across the red and white curbing right there that Matt's just parallel to, and got on that green stuff, and there was zero grip, went for a big ride. He said it's one of those moments in your racing career that you think you're going to have a massive crash, and he just got away with it. So everyone's got to feel that out.
All right, first lap complete at 2:39 by Fassnacht. As he is the first one through, we'll see what unfolds for the rest of the field. And it's going to be great talking about this all weekend long, because we've got some, obviously, drivers that have been in the championship before that are returning, and we've got drivers that are new to the championship, and in this case, we've got drivers that are familiar to the championship but have moved over with different teams, different cars. This is the Krug Speed Ginetta that Anthony Girazzi is sharing right now with a former champion in the Touring Car A category, Goulart, and it's I think these guys have a real opportunity to show something here.
Yeah, it's a great driver pairing. Anthony had some great runs last year in the TCR class, running with the HRD team. We were paired up with the FCP Euro guys, but see him there. He's actually looking a little bit more out of shape than we saw Matt Fassnacht in the AMG Mercedes a little bit earlier in this run. So he's pushing things right now, trying to find that lap time. Last lap right now is by Brynjolfsson at a 2:38.1, which is 20 seconds plus off of the dry times we saw yesterday.
I think it's important to point out these Ginettas, they run the little V6, so they're a much lighter car, and in the wet, that's not always what you want. You like a little weight so that when it transfers, it really plants. So he may be struggling just a little bit. Brynjolfsson, we've known for the past couple of years, a late starter in his racing career, but the Icelandic assassin, as I like to call him, he's such a great character, has picked it up very, very quickly. But going to the top right now is the number 67, Kevin Woods. That's for the Racers Group. That's the new Porsche 718 Cayman CSMR GT4 machine, jumps to the top, and then the number 47 NOLA Sport machine of Matt Travis goes to the top, Cal.
Yeah, it's going to be changing quickly, and we now see lap times at 2:33 is the fastest lap by Travis, so I expect them to get under 2:30 here pretty quickly. Looks like there doesn't seem to be any rain falling right now, so this racetrack should get better, particularly with the massive field of cars that we have here competing this weekend in the GT4 category.
Should be drying it up relatively quickly. Fastest right now of the AM category cars. Nice to have this name back in the championship, Jared Andretti, but a big story, moving from the TCR ranks to GT4, and now that team is an Andretti Autosport run program with Carl Thompson is the co-driver, and if Carl's behind the wheel, and they've got plenty of experience at Compass Racing and McLaren's, I think that was a smart move by Andretti Autosport to involve Carl in that program with some technical work.
Yeah, it really is a great combination. Great to see Carl back behind the wheel. I saw him just this morning. He said it's been 2014 since I last was out there competing, so he's relishing the opportunity. He's got a great group. He's got some of his technical guys involved with Andretti Autosport. They've got Robin Pemberton from NASCAR fame in previous decades, kind of spearheading the whole assault, so they've got a lot of experience there in that pit box.
And Andretti briefly jumped to second, Vesko Kozarov now to third, and the number 27 we were watching, Anthony Girazzi, is second now in the East Pro-Am category. Good lap for him at this stage. You can see traffic on this track. Even though it's long, you get these clumps, and traffic can really affect the lap that you're putting in here. Here's a look at the 47, fastest right now, who is trying to clear some of the traffic and get another free run.
Tight.
Oh, very close. Cleared the Audi, the number 44. That's Palmer. So there's Matt Travis. And you look at where they've been in the timesheets in the practice sessions, always hovering near the top. Matt Travis has been a very quick study, picked up racing in a big hurry. And Jason Hart, his co-driver and coach, is the other driver in this car. Very accomplished. These guys, I think, are going to be serious contenders for the championship.
Yeah, Travis points some tremendous performances, and obviously there gets up on that curbing. He's got a little bit of grit to the red and white part of it, but then there's zero grip if you go over it, and then you've got to watch track limits as well. So essentially you've got to have at least two tires on some part of the red and white curbing. The green stuff doesn't count in terms of where the track limits are, so you've got to watch that, particularly in these conditions if the car does start to slide on you.
He just trimmed, even with that little slide out of 19 cal, he trimmed almost 2 seconds off his best lap. He's now at a 2:31.9, and that's over 2 seconds clear of the rest of the field at this stage.
Well, I bet he's got a couple of seconds there because he was stuck in traffic as well, remember, Greg,
right.
So that was not the optimum lap for him. Time is running down. That 15 minutes goes by really, really quickly, so you're trying to back time this and make sure that you've got a clear air, no traffic when you've just got one lap to go to that checkered flag for this first part of the session.
Yeah, that Cayman, the new 718 GT4, that's a pretty nice bit of kit. It maintains everything that the previous Cayman GT4 had in terms of handling, aero, and the like. They've just done a little work on the engine, and they said it's a lot more responsive now when you get on it. And of course, that's going to be very important. And the driver's really enjoying that car. Here's another one of those machines as it comes whistling down into turn 12. Heavy braking area here at this stage. That's the number 67, once again, of Woods.
Utilize the same 3.8 liter engine, but some enhancements have boosted the horsepower from about 385 up to about 425, best I can gauge from talking to some of the teams utilizing this car this year. Some lighter weight body panels and a nice upgrade kit on this Cayman.
Sharp looking machine too.
It is, and
That
everyone's
never is.
getting busy with it right now. You can see a little bit more hustle in everyone's step right now, trying to maximize this lap time. Qualifying is so important. And if you get it wrong, you suddenly get in traffic on that last lap. We could see some last lap flyers by literally everyone in this field. So you may think, oh, I got a nice qualifying spot up in the top 5, and you could get shuffled down big time if you make a mess of the final lap.
Woods, by the way, in the Pirelli Trophy West Championship last year, had 10 wins on his way to the Diamond Class Championship. He's got a lot of experience in these cars, and I'm sure in a variety of conditions, and it shows now. Jumps to second behind Matt Travis, a little over half a second off of Travis's time, but nonetheless, a great lap for Kevin Woods in that Racers Group Porsche Cayman.
Yeah, Paul right now is a 231.9. I still anticipate seeing someone dip below the 230 mark. We'll have to wait and see. Some of these drivers still have a couple of laps left for that checkered flag.
She said if enough cars are out there, and there's plenty, dry that line up a little bit.
Again, as long as you beat the checkered flag, you can complete that last flying lap.
Here's a look at the blue and white 36 McLaren. That is Jared Andretti, sitting third overall right now on the National Am Championship provisional pole.
You mentioned Carl Thompson, his teammate. He said it was really weird to have John Andretti on my in my head yesterday as a spotter. John, such a stellar driving career, has had some health issues of late, so we wish him all the best with that. We understand that he's on the road to recovery there, but loves being involved with his son's racing programs.
Just a quick shout out here as we're watching this lap by Jarrett. Great lap.
Little slide there.
Oh.
Lost some time, had to get out of, otherwise he's going to be up and over and out of bounds with the track limits. Needs to settle it down now, get a good clean shot off here. This will be his last lap probably, because he'll see the checkered flag next time around.
Not quite as quick, a 2:33.8 compared to his 2:33.6 best. Just wanted to say Marco Radisek just did a great lap, jumping up into 7th overall, second in the East Pro-Am category in the precision driving BMW. He's sharing this year with Carl Whitmer.
That'll be another potent combination. Both those drivers are very quick. And again, this first session is essentially the lower graded driver. So if you have a distinction, if one's a bronze, one's a silver or a gold, the bronze driver needs to participate in this session. If you got two of equal grading, then it's down to the team to make that decision in terms of who they want to qualify for each part of the session, and hence take the start for race 1 or race 2.
Look here at the 89. This is the Rentec Motorsports Mercedes of Parker Chase and Reinhold Renger. And Renger getting the nod to start this session off, and he's a very accomplished driver in European GT racing in this Rentec Mercedes-AMG GT4.
He's got the bronze rating based on his age. He's a little bit up there in years now, but a lot of experience, predominantly with Mercedes platforms. Doesn't use a lot of the road there on the entry at turn 19. See how effective this lap is.
He's looking for those dry bits, isn't he?
Currently 8th as he comes out through turn 20 to finish this lap. And he may just squeak it. Yeah, he's going to get another lap. This is perfect timing. Is he or not?
It's a 2:35.5.
Yeah.
I think he got through.
I think he got through because there's a start line and a finish line here, and I think the session is timed from that first line. It's just as you exit turn 20. So I think this lap will count if he keeps on it.
Just a quick update as we're watching him. Travis in the 47 NOLA Sport Porsche jumps to a 2:37, so trims a little bit more time off.
Are they going to make a liar out of me, Greg? Is no one going to dip into that 29 range?
I know. Well, this guy could. At number 91, that is the Reardon Racing entry, and of course that is Jeff Burton, and that's the Burton Lumber car he shares with Vesko Kozarov.
And scoring is showing Kozarov behind the wheel. I have to clarify that situation.
And in timing and scoring's defense, if they plug the wrong transponder code in, sometimes the wrong driver will come up. But again, it's technically supposed to be your lower rated driver of the two in the car that would do this session. Woods had jumped up to second. Andretti now has pushed him back into third. So Jared Andretti doing a very nice job in these conditions. Here we go at the line. What's going to happen here for the 91? Currently 5th overall. Looks like improved his time, but not position, Cal. Turned to 2:33.8.
Yeah, top 5. That's okay, though.
Yeah.
That's a good spot. It keeps you out of the midfield drama, trying to get up through this very critical opening lap into the turn 1, the big climb up there, and everyone seems to want to get very brave in the opening lap of a race here at Circuit of the Americas. It is so wide, and you get so much retardation with the, a little slip there. That's going to cost dearly. That was 3 or 4 tenths.
Yeah, and that's what we've been seeing. We saw it in the touring car qualifying we were watching. As you rotate in and you get that right rear up on that curb, it just kicks the car sideways, and as you said, that could have hurt. He had an opportunity here. He sits third, and it did hurt him.
Yeah.
By
a couple
of
slower.
hundreds, yep.
Easy to find a second. I'm not sure if that slip may have cost him a front row position. Andretti still maintains that with other drivers finishing their laps.
So right now, provisionally, that car, the NOLA Sport Porsche 718 Cayman of Matt Travis, potentially the provisional pole sitter and a bit clear of the field. Andretti got to within 1.6 seconds, but that was a brilliant series of laps by Travis.
Yeah, it really was, and that's a big margin to have. 1.7 seconds, so again, maybe they went super aggressive with the setup. What you can do is soften the car off to be more compliant in these damp and slippery conditions. So maybe the team NOLA Sport really went to work on the suspension settings prior to this qualifying session and really softened that off and gave that car the ultimate grip. Either way, great performance by Travis. That's making a statement to start the season.
It certainly is. It's interesting. Pro-Am and Am will fill out the front row provisionally of race number 1 with Travis Pro-Am category machine. This one, the 47 NOLA Sport car, and the 36 Andretti Autosport entry of Jared Andretti. That is an AM program. Puts it on the outside of the front row. That's pretty impressive.
Kind of surprised there's not a little bit more action going on with the car right now. There's another session coming up here pretty quickly for the co-driver.
Well, apparently he likes it, and they apparently decided the tires that they have, they're good. Again, you don't have to do any tire changes, but you certainly can if you want. And apparently they like, obviously, the setup seems to be right. And if Matt got out of the car and said, yeah, it's not going to be dry enough to change up and go to slicks, well, that's going to be good news because Jason Hart could just climb behind the wheel and give it a go. The one thing you cannot do during this break here, this 5-minute break between sessions, it's considered park for May conditions, so you can't do any work on the car mechanically. You can clean a windshield, that sort of thing, but you can't do anything. You can't massage the setup, change the car at all.
You can change driver and tires.
Correct.
Some clarifications with the rules over this first race weekend. So
must change driver, can change tires.
Correct.
Gotcha. Looking back a little bit, as he said, we've got the regional championships, the West Championship and the East Championship, and third overall. Nice run. We were talking about it. That 67 coming up third overall from the Racers group, Kevin Woods, who will turn over to Chris Belomo here in this next one in the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4, third overall and doing a superb job. And that's one of the West AM cars. So I think there's not a lot of difference necessarily in some of these programs these days between the Pro Am and the Am. There's some Am, like you said, especially if you're a very experienced Am and you're just rated lower because of age as it works. There's some serious sleepers in there.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, ideally you want a driver pairing that is pretty close on times. You're not going to have an exact match until you get to the Ultimate Pro level, who literally can run within a few hundredths of one another. But certainly in this GT4 category, you don't want to be giving up too much, because obviously there's a compromise with one half of the race if one of your drivers doesn't quite carry the speed.
All right, so we are going to get down to the pit lane. Ryan Marine has found our overall pole sitter for race 1.
To see the car out there in those conditions. What was the Cayman like on track like that?
Thanks. Yeah, Cayman was great. Fantastic setup by our crew and our engineer, and the car just worked flawlessly. Really happy with that result.
How important do you think starting position is going to be?
I think it's going to be huge in a field this big and with this much talent. We're really excited to be at the front, get away clean, we hope, and have a great race this afternoon. Really looking forward to it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, so he's got to be absolutely elated. We saw from them in last season, Cal, when they would show up and run some great speed, and I think with now that experience and this new 718 Cayman, this is going to be some serious competition in this championship generally, and certainly this car and this driver pairing is going to be one to watch.
Yeah, Travis had a nice season last year. Had 4 podium finishes in the TC class with classic BMW. So, but really, you're starting to show that, you know, that form that you could see that was going to blossom into a strong 2019 season.
And it's going to be interesting while we're in this break just to update everybody on what's going to unfold with the Pirelli GT4 America Championship. We've got the National Sprint X and we've got the Regional East and West Sprint X Championships. There is also a National Sprint Championship, and that starts next weekend at St. Petersburg, Florida. And they have a couple of standalone events where they're the GT headliner at both St. Pete and Long Beach for the Pirelli GT4 America category. So that's going to be great news. Sometimes we'll have the Sprint and Sprint X for GT4 running on the same weekend. So there's going to be a lot of everybody in the pool events this year. It's going to be great fun.
Yeah, with some of these drivers, they'll be doing 4 races on the same weekend. So they're very excited about staying busy. And you know, for some of these drivers, it's all about seat time. So give them more opportunity. They're just going to fine-tune their craft and get a little bit quicker.
See there in the graphics, a rundown of the provisional result from the qualifying 1 session, which once again will set you up for race number 1. Big changes here if you're just tuning in. In the past, it was the fast lap in that first race that would determine where you started in race 2. Not anymore. In this qualifying session, you do the driver change, and the second driver in the car will go out, and this qualifying session coming up will determine the starting order for the second race of the doubleheader weekend. So a little bit of a change. And there are those, of course, who have said, boy, it was sure fun to have to watch them push even if you didn't have a good race going. You had to lay back, find a gap, put a lap in, do a little strategy. But also, if you were taken out early,
yes,
it really, really affected you, more so in terms of a championship opportunity because of lack of points.
Well, what I didn't like about the previous system was you could be in the hunt for a championship, and one moment can take you out of a race early, so you got a 0-point score because there was a 50% minimum last year, and then you were at the back of the grid for race 2. So, to me, that was too much in one hit, literally. And I like the new format, and I like the fact we're going to see different drivers starting the different races, and lots to look at, a great dynamic.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's got some interesting strategy because the teams are allotted a set number of tires, but how you use them is up to you. So you can there's a little team strategy, how that comes into play, what you're going to do in these qualifying sessions, make sure you have tires for the race, etc. So lots to watch for here, and we are underway with qualifying 2 for race 2. And now it's the quicker of the two drivers. Technically, it's the higher rated driver. Sometimes that doesn't exactly play out that way. We've seen here, certainly, following this beautiful number 34 Murillo Mercedes again, Christian Shimshak, awfully quick, but Matt Fosnot is too. So you can get some very solid pairings where it's kind of just a roll of the dice which one's going to be running 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I'd certainly expect that 2:30 mark to be beaten by these guys who do have a little bit more experience and possibly a little bit more speed than the first group. Plus the racetrack should theoretically be getting a little bit drier.
And now in that Krug speed, Janetta should be Ella van Goulaar, former TCA champion in World Challenge competition and a multi-time national champion in the SCCA runoffs, and front runner in Spec Miata racing in SCCA club competition. And if you're running in the sharp end of a Spec Miata race, you've got some chops. Those guys are furious.
Yeah, Alavan is a great talent and works really hard to find these programs to compete with.
Well, you remember, I think it was at Lime Rock last year, he made his first GT4 start in a Krug Speed Lotus and won the thing. So anything he drives, he's capable. This is going to be fun to watch. Shimshak and Goulaar going after it here. Jumping into the number 19 BMW, which is a Stephen Cameron Racing entry as a driver with a great amount of accomplishment in speed, Greg Liafouge, and the number 19. So there's lots to be watching here on this one, but keep an eye out and see just who ends up going to the top early. We're going to focus on these two cars right now, the Mercedes from Murillo and the 27 Janetta from Krug Speed.
Goulaar on this lap, he is really hitting his marks nicely. Seems to be immediately into the flow, rhythm, and grip that this racetrack is providing in this second part of the GT4 qualifying session.
Working through the stadium section, they call it. One of the neat things, if you're not familiar with Circuit of the Americas, is Herman Tilke designed it, and he basically modeled sections of the track after legendary sections of tracks around the world. The stadium section, Hockenheim Stadium section, now into this triple apex right-hander, which is basically a mirror image of the triple left at Istanbul. I mean, that's how he designed this track. Falling away right down here, and you got to get over here to get set up for 19. Track is full of little surprises and challenges.
It really is. It's very demanding. It's a lot of work, and it demands a lot from the chassis, particularly those S's. As I said, they're unrelenting. They keep coming at you, so it really works the tires hard, works the platform hard as we start to see some guys completing that first lap.
2:31.3 by Goulaar. So for a first lap effort, that's pretty solid. Now, Brynjolfsson, which would now be Trent Hinman in the 77-volt lighting machine, has turned to 2:33, Cal. 2:30.3.
2:30.3.
Goes to the top.
I think they can definitely dip below that 2:30 mark, and anyone getting the 28s potentially for a front row start here for race 2.
We should point out Brynjolfsson and that team now, that bright, you can't miss it. There it is. You can see it, that day glow yellow in the background, the Volt lighting car. That is now being run by Park Place Motorsports out of Dallas, Texas. Nice to have that team in the Pirelli GT4 America Championship this year, and there he is, Trent Hinman. Absolutely one of the most talented drivers in the paddock, period, of any paddock, in my opinion. How he's not a factory driver for a manufacturer right now, I still don't quite understand.
No, and he had a great affiliation with BMW just going back 3 or 4 years ago, and was very much on their radar, and they got down to a shootout, and Jesse Krohn, who now runs in the GT Le Mans category for BMW, got the nod, and it's really unfortunate that Trent was left on the wayside, but he's picked up the pieces. He's found a lot of rise, and he's always performed at a high level, and he's now starting to find that those programs that really will justify his talent level. And he's a great teammate. He's a great mentor for someone like Alan, and they've also got Michael Johnson at the helm, who's run this car before for them, and he switched over to Park Place as well. So different branding with the team, different location, but a lot of familiar faces within that group.
Here's a look at the number 3 that says now, and again, we just want to say we're seeing, it says Michael Dinan in the car. I think we're just having some issues with the correct transponders being plugged in, because that should be now Robbie Foley in the 21 who would be the higher rated of the drivers, and that's how that's supposed to play out. And Robbie is somebody that you just keep an eye on no matter what he's driving.
Yeah, he's really talented, sort of like burst onto the scene over the last couple of seasons at this much higher pro level, and he's a great mentor, a great coach, even though he's relatively young and early in his career. He's doing a great job working with Dynan, and that Flying Lizard camp are very excited about their potential this year. Jim Bell, the legendary engineer, is still at the helm there, and these guys were really quick yesterday, led one of the practice sessions.
It was kind of nice to see Seth Nyman walking around the paddock here, coming in and supporting the Flying Lizard team here this weekend. Of course, he was the original founder of that team, and nice to see him enjoying things right now. But big change here. Up to the top goes, I think that's the 46 TRG entry.
Yep, the 230 mark. Let's see who the 21 car gets here across the line. Yeah, that's 30.16, so that slots him into the third position right now. Nola Sport car up to second. Can they sweep, get 2 poles? Got the first one with Matt Travis. Hart now behind the wheelers up to second. So they've obviously got a good setup. Both their drivers are liking it.
And actually that 46 is another Nola Sport car. Porsche Cayman, but it is a Nola Sport car, and it's John Capestro Dubé, or they just call him JCD. We may have to adopt that too.
I think that's a lot easier for us as well.
I would agree, yes. Teamed with Mike Vess. It's the Vess Energy Group Porsche. So having a great run right now. Brynjolfsson, or Hinman, I should say, has dropped back into 4th. Goulart sits 5th. And Chase, Parker Chase, nice to have him back in the paddock. We talked about it. Somewhat last-minute call to come over and run, and doing a nice job out there, sitting in the 6th spot overall right now.
Boy, did he progress last year under the guidance of Ryan Dial. They won the Sprint X GT3 Pro-Am Championship, number of victories. And he's going to be competed full-time with Ryan in a different championship for this year, but great to see him get this one-off opportunity. And you never know, if you're at the first race and you go well, it's amazing how suddenly teams and drivers can find the resources to continue. So this first weekend is super critical to that.
Just keeping an eye here, seeing if JCD is able to better that 2:19.7. Right now, it's a Nola Sport 1-2, the AM car, the faster of the two at this stage.
See that area coming down into the turning point for turn 19. They did some milling, as they call it, around this racetrack, grinding out some of the bumps. Certainly the Formula One boys would not be happy with some of the heaving that's happened over the last couple of off seasons. So they've really gone to work this past off season and really ground the track down, got rid of some of the bigger bumps that were starting to appear. And it's also a little bit more abrasive as well, so that'll have a factor when we get to the dry conditions, Greg, in terms of tire degradation potentially.
Working on that management. Nice lap now. Brynjolfsson. I keep saying that it's Hinman in the car, the 77. Dropped to 6th, back up into 4th.
You just like saying that name.
I do. It's a pretty cool name. And of course, I'm fighting like mad not to throw the accent on. Here's a look at the 67. Front runner in the first qualifying session. Right now, Chris Belomo a little bit farther down the order than they'd like at this stage. Still 3rd in the West AM category, but down the order a little bit more.
You can see it looks like the track is almost flooded there, doesn't it? Where the different surface nature there, coming down between 18 and 19.
Here's a look at that 89, Parker Chase.
And a lot of speed, rolling speed into apex there. I think this track is really drying out and giving these guys more grip.
It's the Rentec entry. As he is coming, you see him flashing the lights a little bit.
Up to 7th. We'll be looking for more, I think.
He dove in early there, and he really had to slow the car down. Not run wide, and they've made some changes. We're not going to get into it too much on what they call track limits here. This is a place where that's always been an issue. They made a couple of changes to give the drivers a little bit more leeway, but they said in doing that, if you are still aggressive and going off kind of like this, if you're deemed to have made any kind of an improvement, we're going to have to take that lap away. So everybody's been very mindful of that. And that off may have affected the 22 there. It's the Precision Driving BMW with Carl Whitmer. You can see him flashing his lights furiously. He's on a bit of a flyer.
Yeah, and he'll recognize time is starting to run out on this session. Here we see a quick spin.
That's good. It's kind of unfortunate he had the spin and then came out and maybe affected that lap just a little bit.
Still surprised. I think just the dampness and certainly the cooler temps are not really seeing the lap times I was anticipating. I thought for sure we'd see a 2:28 in this session, but a 2:29.7 still holds the top spot. Only a couple of minutes left.
In the 5th spot overall right now, making a big jump, is the number 31. It's another team it's nice to have running in this paddock, Body Motion Racing, coming over, and it's Al Carter in that car right now. He's just turned a nice lap up into 5th overall. He shares with Sean Gibbons. That's the LaSalle Solutions Body Motion entry. Nice little drift right there. JCD giving it a ride.
He is in a NOLA Sport 1-2 right now, so they've grabbed pole for the first race. Can they sweep the front row for race 2? Still think there's potentially some quicker laps still out there. See if anyone can get a clear one and execute. There's a lot of corners to put together in these conditions. It only takes one mistake to lose those vital 3 or 4 tenths that you're looking for to get. Oh, look at that slide. Nice catch there.
He straightened it up right to get the
did.
power down a little sooner.
That was cool.
That was. He got a great run onto the longest straight of this track. This is a big, long blast down into turn 12.
Yeah, it's a dyno run down here.
Yeah, truly. That's the interesting thing about this track. The 3 sectors are all very different. You know, the first sector, you got the front straight up into 1 and the S's. Then you've got that high speed, as you said, dyno run section essentially. And then the very twisty bits coming up to the finish line. And you need a car that gets through them all effectively. Interesting to see just what. Here's an interested observer. Yeah, look back at that. He got some beautiful rotation there and allowed him to pick that throttle up early. Let's see what he's able to do here. As you can see the clock counting down. 15 seconds left in this session.
You may be getting to a point where you're trying to actually preserve these wet tires. I mean, you're basically going to discard them after this qualifying session, but you don't want to overheat them and start to lose grip. They'll peak, and once you start to overheat that tread block, they become ineffective in terms of the grip they'll give you.
All right, here we go. Time is out, so this is the last lap. Any improvement? Yeah, he turns a 2:29.59, picked up about 3 tenths. But he's actually, it was Hart in the 47
yes.
on the last lap. It was the team car that turned that 2:29.592. So they provisionally now have swept the 2 poles here. That number 47 NOLA Sport car. Beautiful run. Here's the 46.
There's still some hot laps
Yeah,
out there.
Is. Absolutely, there is.
They'll be biting their fingernails here for the next minute or so as everyone completes their final lap. Hinman up to 4th with the Volt Racing. Number 77, Porsche Cayman. Thorley sits in that 3rd position. Flying Lizard doing a nice job this weekend. Brand new cars, only got them about 8 days ago.
Yeah. By the way, watching that clump of cars, second car on the line, Alec Udell in the Global Motorsports Group run number 2 Audi, teamed with Jason Bell, and Udell has hauled that car now up into 7th. He's in that little bit of traffic. Looks to make the move here, realized, no, that could cost me time.
It's a Porsche top 4 right now.
Yeah, impressive. Owen Schrenkler jumps up into 5th. What a great story that is. Coming over and running a Reardon a Reardon Audi with Sarah Cattaneo. Been a driver duo for a long, long time. Tremendous success in the street touring category.
Last race they did together, they won.
Yes.
Now, final race in 2017.
All right.
Get that power down.
That's number 55 Ford Mustang. Rich Golinello and Nate Stacy behind the wheel of that car. I believe Nate became the youngest driver ever to start a World Challenge race right here in the Americas, and TCB at 14, I think.
Checkered flag's been out for a while, but it's a long lap here, so these other drivers are still completing. their final lap. Can anyone pull a surprise and hit that Nola Sport front row?
So far, no. There is that number 55. That's Core Autosport running that. There's Golinello and Stacy both have history here in the World Challenge. Both driving Mustangs, so I'm sure you feel it right. Here's a look at that, the number 2. That is the Global Motorsports Group Highway Systems, Osteria Kitchen and Bar, and Grid Sport Audi of Jason Bell and Alec Udell. Good run up into the top 7 overall. 3rd in the AM category here. So here's a look at how things sit right now. But right now, Nola Sport have sort of set the bar, haven't they?
They really have. They got those cars dialed in, and their drivers did an awesome job with it. This is a stout field to
isn't it?
grab both poles. That's really a testament to car setup and your driver pairing as well. They like equally competitive, which is ominous. It's not like they're going to be turning over someone who's going to start to go backwards here.
Yeah, exactly.
After that mid-race pit stop.
As you pointed out, those new Porsche 718 came in GT4 Club Sport MRs. We're going to say that every once in a while, then we're just going to shorten it up. But they really took what had been a solid car and have clearly improved it in some key areas, and it is working. So congratulations to Nola Sport. Fabulous qualifying effort in both of these sessions for race 1 and race 2. And then right there is that number 21 of Foley and Dynan. And they have been quick. They've been one of the pairings in that Flying Lizard Porsche that have been very quick all weekend long. And then the 77 Volt lighting machine of Hinman and Brynjolfsson completing the 2 front rows. And then the Trinkler Audi, the Shimshek Mercedes, the Udell Audi. This is going to be fun races.
It is, and just getting to the format, it remains 60 minutes for the Pirelli GT4 America format. A driver change mandatory between the 25 and 35 minute mark of the race, so that's when those changes will be taking place. And we believe to be officially confirmed, but it needs to be a minimum of 81 seconds spent on pit lane during that change.
All right, for the second time, we're going to head back down to Ryan Marine, the second time with a representative from Nola Sport on the pole.
John Sherrick is the team manager for Nola Sport. Impressive qualifying session. Only both races for race number 2. Now we know the car is good at the dam. How confident are you guys that you guys?
Unfortunately, some little technical issue here with Ryan's microphone, so we'll skip out of that here. But again, very excited for that team, for that program. And they are doing an absolutely incredible job. But I think the other thing of note is you look at the size of the field here. We've got over 30 cars, and the times, the wet tends to sometimes, you'll see huge gaps here and there. We're not seeing much of that. Even in the damp here, these times are fairly compact, Cal.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun season, Greg. I mean, so many different manufacturers. I think we've got 8 manufacturers in the GT4 categories this year, and 30-plus car field. Lots of talent, lots of new combinations, lots of teams and drivers switching to a different manufacturer, different platform. So it's going to be fun. And as you mentioned, we go to the sprint format at the streets of St. Petersburg this next weekend. Some of the drivers are doing both when we get to some of the championship rounds where Sprint X and Sprint will be competing. So it's going to be fun. Lots to get our heads around for this opening weekend, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be fabulous. And, of course, one of the reasons you may see the 4 cars at the top of the sheets right now being the Porsche Cayman, it's got the lump right over those drive wheels, and in the wet, that always makes a big difference. And then you've got drivers who are obviously capable of being able to get after that just a little bit and extract everything out of it. So, well, that wraps up our first ever broadcast of qualifying for the Pirelli GT4 America Championships. We'll be back for the racing later in the day.